As schools look for ways to improve student achievement, one element in accomplishing this goal is clear. Parental involvement is not just useful, it is essential. The purpose of this course is to provide practical suggestions on how teachers can involve parents in their children's educational experience. Parent involvement as a factor in a child's success is recognized by teachers everywhere. Dr. William Glasser, author and a leading educational theorist, has always maintained that positive, healthy relationships between teachers and parents are important in a child's performance at school. Dr. Glasser states that to be happy, we must learn how to maintain positive relationships with people in our lives. When we are unhappy or unable to perform as we would like, it is almost always because we've failed to do this. Next, we turn to author and nationally renowned speaker, Dr. Jane Bluestein. Author of such books as The Parent's Little Book of Lists, Creating Emotionally Safe Schools, and 21st Century Discipline, Dr. Bluestein has appeared internationally as a speaker and talk show guest, including several appearances as a guest expert on CNN, National Public Radio, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. A common theme of Dr. Bluestein's work is the importance of relationship building, both in life and in a school setting. Here she explains why it is beneficial to build a strong relationship with parents and gives examples on how to begin to gain parental support.
Parental support's really important because, well, let's face it, parents are the most important influence in a child's life. Teachers are running a pretty close second, and when the two forces can join and there is a cooperation and there is support and there is communication between the two, between the home and the school, you've got so much more power as a teacher behind you. I have been really recommending for years that teachers start enlisting parents by letting the parents know what their policies are, what their intentions are, what their goals are, where their flexibility lies, and and letting the parents know ahead of time, this is what I'd like to do. Here's my homework policy, here's my in-class policy, here's this, here's how you can support this. And to get a sense from the parents, is this something, are we on the same page here? When kids know that the parents are behind the teachers and that everybody is on the same page and we're all working together, the kids are much more likely to be more cooperative, certainly in school, because they know that the parents, that the parents are already behind the teacher and what the teacher is doing. When kids go home and they hear parents talking about, oh, these teachers don't know anything, or oh, these schools are so bad, it undermines the credibility and the authority of the teacher. And it also creates some internal conflict, because I think kids really want to like their teachers, and they really want to do well. I'm convinced, I don't believe for a second that kids walk into school thinking, gee, how can I fail here today? This is about how can I be successful and how can I create a connection. We know that the connection between the teacher and the student, and the way the student feels about the teacher and the way the student perceives the teacher feels about him or her, are some of the most important factors in whether that child's going to be successful in school or not. And if the parents are talking in positive ways about what the school is doing, or, oh, if the kids overhear the parents say, oh, my kid has such a great teacher, or we're so glad that my daughter is in this class, or we're so glad my child, my son hooked up with this teacher, immediately that kind of gives me, gives the student, immediately it gives the student a sense that they're in the right place. It is okay to like this person. It is okay to expect good things from this person, and it is okay to do well in this person's care. Okay, what are some of the things we can do to create parental support early in the year? How about we meet with the parents, or at least start sending some information home, making a few phone calls. I know I taught in a community where that was not particularly encouraged because there were some safety issues about going into some of the communities. Every one of us, every one of the new teaching interns, we did it anyhow because it felt that important. We care about your kid. We want you to be a part of this child's education. We want you to be a part of this process. You're my ally in this kid's education, and before I start off the year with this kid, let's meet, let's talk about what I want for this child, talk about what you want for this child, and how are we going to work together. One of the other steps, when I worked with teaching interns as a supervisor, I used to encourage regular positive contact. You build a relationship with the parents. This doesn't happen automatically, especially in some communities. The parents are so automatically hostile and so automatically defensive because usually they only hear from us, as teachers when there's a problem. And in fact, I'll never forget the first time I called a parent. I remember the kid's name was Billy, I think, and he had done something really well. He had mastered something in math. And I called the mom to say, hey, your kid's doing really well. And her response was, yeah, what do you want? All she heard was Bluestein from the school, and she couldn't get past that. She immediately went into this defense and survival mode. And, and I had to say, I was a little shocked, and I'm thinking, okay, now how could I have possibly not said that right? I said, your kid had a really great week in math. I just wanted to let you know. And that's where the shift came. But immediately her assumption was, if I'm hearing from the school, my child must be in trouble, they must be calling me to fix something, or they must be blaming him for something. And, regular positive contact. I had a principal one time tell me he called, I think it was a principal of a middle school, made a point to call every parent of every child once a semester. He just kept a list, and he would find out something nice, something positive about maybe 12, 15 kids a day. He said the average amount of time he spent on the phone with the parents was 17 seconds. Not big, long conversations. I'm not calling to talk about the weather. I don't want to hear about your operation. It's like, I just called. I ran into your kid's gym teacher, and I hear kids really making an effort in class. He's really doing well. Or, I just saw your kid's science teacher. I saw your child's science teacher, and she said, boy, he did a terrific project and whatever. And I just thought you might want to know that people were saying nice things about your kid today. Boy, oh boy, did that change the level of parental involvement. Imagine you're a parent and you hear from me once a week, once a month, or whatever, and the only thing I'm telling you about is, here's what your kid did great. I kind of found out about this by accident. I picked one of my toughest classes. I was in a departmentalized setting, and I had a couple really tough classes, and I found if I sent home a good note, just here's a list of things I'm looking for, and they were observable, very specific behaviors, things like even, says please and thank you, turns in homework 4 out of 5 days a week or whatever, and started making a point to give kids credit for at least 3 or 4 a week, even the kids that were having a bad week. Find the things that they had done kind of the least worst, and so every week, here's a parent getting note and feedback from me. And I almost always tried to make a little note on the bottom, even things like great sense of humor, something positive about this child. Focus on what the kid was doing well, really helpful with the other kids, turned in excellent homework, improved in neatness, anything that would give the parents some feedback about how the kid was doing in school. The thing that really surprised me, I didn't even think these notes were going home, some of them, and I had one class, a group of 8th graders that I thought were way too cool to even be bothered with these things. And I had one Friday, because they always went home on Friday, one Friday I had a parent come in, and I didn't get a chance to actually get my good notes out. Do you know my kids actually held the bus? They would not go home without their good notes. The other piece of that is, here you're a parent, and every Friday you're getting something from me about what your kid is doing well. Then there's no big surprises at the end of the semester. If the kid is not getting checks where it says turns in homework 4 out of 5 days a week, you can't say, gee, I didn't know there was a problem because this is pulling the kid's grade down, or that the kid, it's like, you've got some feedback. The other piece of that is, when we're focusing on the positive and you're hearing from me every Friday, here's what your kid did well, here's what your kid did great, here's where the kid's making progress. And then if there is a problem, I've already got a connection with you, and I've already got a context where I could call you and say, something weird kind of happened today, or we've got something going on. Let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you how I'm handling it. And the teachers that I've worked with that have the greatest success with this approach are the ones that have not tried to drag the parent into it or tried to make the parent responsible. A lot of times, it's tempting to call and say, what the little jerk did today, that kind of thing. And you better have a talk with them. No. This is my problem. You weren't there. You didn't see this. Let me take responsibility, because this is one of the skills I'm trying to build in the kids. You know what I found? the less I asked the parents to kind of jump in and solve my problems for me, the more supportive they were, and the more involved they were, and the more help they actually ended up giving me. No, this isn't, let me handle it. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm doing about it. Let me call you in a couple days and let you know. All of a sudden, I've got parents that are much more involved, much more supportive. It was kind of paradoxical that the less I asked from them, the more they were willing to give.